Hi, this is Stephen Andrews, Outlaw Bookseller. It's a beautiful day in sunny Bath. It's my day off. We're going to go in search of some books and have a bit of a walkabout as well. Okay, so here's the plan. The Outlaw Bookseller is going to go on a walkabout. There's going to be some chat on the way about SF and other stuff. I'm going to talk specifically about a particular Ballard novel when we get to a certain point in the walk, and then we're going to go to Beaufort Books, which is about a mile from where I live, and see if we can do some SF scores. Then I'll show you what it's like. So yeah, I had a haircut, as you can see, and I washed it this morning, because washing your hair when it's short is a joy. When it's long, it's an absolute pain. It's pretty all bushy now, because there's no product on it. But I was doing a Robert Holdstock video down here last year, and there's a comment on the channel a while ago. It was a video in part of my folk horror season, and some wag said, let's see more of the countryside and less of your face. Well, I've just shown you some of the countryside. You know, it's okay. If the countryside isn't that exciting, I'm not going to show it to you. You know, if it's bog standard, beautiful southern England stuff, you know, you're not going to get it. If it's something special, I'll show it to you. In the meantime, you can look at my face. The scent of new mown hay, as they say. This reminds me of John Christopher, The Death of Grass. I bought a new copy recently because the current Penguin Classics edition, Penguin Modern Classics I should say, has the same art as the original first edition. The path I'm taking today is one I've never ever walked along, despite having lived out this way for over 30 years. I think I've said this before, because I spent the first 20 years of my life on a mountaintop in Wales. When I moved to the city, I wanted to stay in the city, and I was still very drawn to the city for many years. It's only during the lockdown that I really rediscovered my sort of love of the country, really. So a lot of walks around here I could have done, I didn't want to do. So this is a new one today. I've just been to the post office and sent off some eBay sales. Got some other books on the way to new owners, some nice firsts, and that's going to sort of fund many purchases I make today. Highlands, for some reason, always make me think of The Weathermonger by Peter Dickinson, the novel in the Changes trilogy. It was the first one. In order of internal chronology, it's the third. So the climax of the series was written first, and then he did two prequels with different children in them. The TV series isn't as good when you watch it when you're older, but you know, that first novel, The Weathermonger, is fantastic. Easily the best children's SF novel ever. There's some truly strange stuff in it. I don't want to give any spoilers, but I would urge you to read it. You know, even if you don't read the rest of the Changes trilogy, which are good, you know, they're good children's adventure stories, but do read The Weathermonger. So we're about to pass underneath the Bath Eastern Bypass now, which was built about 20 years ago. I've never actually been underneath it. I am looking for a path which leads up to the main road, but I've got a feeling I might not find it by going this way. Nonetheless, here we go. So, the underpass. Obviously a John Fox place, primarily a J.G. Ballard place. The intersection of nature and technology, and this naturally makes me think of Concrete Island, the second of Ballard's urban trilogy from the 70s, and I wouldn't say it's my favourite. Crash is my favourite, but I do prefer Concrete Island to High Rise. In Concrete Island, a driver stops concentrating for a moment, takes his gaze away from the road, and ends up piling off the westway down into a little intersection, which is still natural between two different roads as they converge or adverge. and he finds himself trapped. He has an injured leg, and down there he finds a new world of his own. He can't get out because he can't get up the ridges either side because of this leg injury, and he encounters some strange people down there and discovers some old hidden parts of London. So it's probably the most psychogeographical of Ballard's books in terms of, you know, the London aspect of psychogeography, so lauded by the likes of Ian Sinclair, Alan Moore, what have you. And it remains my favourite. I've read it several times, so I do really like it. It's a quiet and small work compared to Crash and High Rise, but certainly more credible and realistic than both. Edgeland, this liminal space, he said, as they fall into the ever-present cliches of hauntology, psychogeography and autobiogeography, which is a term I coined, because what I do, of course, is talk about myself on these things. Well, that's what psychogeography is, isn't it? It's the merging of human consciousness with the landscape. One of the reasons why I read SF is not to escape from reality, but to escape into reality and prepare for what is coming. And you know, this beautiful open space here, this will probably not be here in 20, 30, 40 years time. I mean, I won't be here either, but you know, other generations will, and it's a concern because we know that in the future more and more people are going to live in cities, and that if we're going to accept that global warming causes people to migrate and to move north, as in Christopher Priest's Food for a Darkening Island, we then also have to accept that we have to build a huge amount of homes for them to live in. And where are they going to be built? I mean, there's a housing crisis in the UK as it is. Our population grows and grows and grows. And there have been warnings about this, you know, going back decades in SF. So aside from the changes in culture and tradition and, you know, all sorts of other things, legal changes, food shortages, what have you, you know, we're going to have to cope with the countryside gone, and I, for one, am glad I'm not going to be here. So I think one of the reasons why I've always read Dystopia and SF is because it prepares me for what is coming. Another thing in later Ballard, is gated communities and, you know, isolated sort of modernist homes. And, you know, it's all very well and good if you can afford it, and gosh, I wish I could, but it's not going to save you from what is to come, is my feeling. Onwards. This is another field I've not been in before. I'm in between the railway line and the canal here, and for those of you who like to see a little bit more of sunny Bath, as I always call it is sunny today, I'll show you now. I used to live quite near to here in a really nice flat at the end of the 80s, and you know, one night the video widow and I put up M. John Harrison and Jane Johnson of Voyager, also known as Jude Fisher. Jane's an editor, writer, publisher, lives in Cornwall. I hope to interview her one day. She has said she'll let me interview her if she's ever down this way, but she really is. She's mostly in London or Cornwall. That was a really memorable night. We had a great fun. It was really, really good. Okay, so I emerged from a field into this shady bit just up in that direction. There's a path that leads up to the canal, and that's where I interviewed Steve Beamond, Bath music legend, a little while ago. That's on the Hawkwind playlist. So if you want to see Steve and I nattering on about acid punk and psychedelia for about 40 minutes, you'll enjoy that. As I say, that's on the Hawkwind playlist. I think we may just see a bit of pleasure cruising. I haven't been on this boat myself for, God, I mean, it must be 25, 30 years. And I think I only took it once. And I say, you know, you live somewhere, you don't do the tourist stuff, do you? Anyway, here it comes. This is the canal boat ride you can take from Bath. That wasn't what I was expecting, but of sort of dredging and industrial, you know, sort of boatery. That's just really funny. But I kind of prefer that in a way. I'm sure it's probably drowning me out and this is all wasted footage. But yeah, look at that, it's fantastic. We flip the camera again. Well, that was a bit Conrad, Heart of Darkness, wasn't it? I mean, you get on that boat and go up the Nung River, you know, your head full of acid. Apocalypse Bath, as if. I've seen lots of dogs today. I'm not sure we'll see a tiger leaping out of here at me. Hope not. It's still ages yet before Beaufort opens. I've got 25 minutes, so you know, maybe it's time for a good sit down with the people of the world, as Vic Reeves used to sing in Mr. Songwriter. Hey, Mr. Songwriter, carve me a bench so the people of the world can have a good sit down. That's so funny, I used to love that. The big night out is still unsurpassed in the Reeves and Mortimer canon, in my view. We're emerging from the canal side path now and going up into Kensington Meadows, which is nothing whatsoever to do with J.M. Barrie and Peter Pan. That's Kensington Gardens, of course. So, interesting fact. Of course, the little girl in that celebrated book is called Wendy. Wendy is the name that J.M. Barrie made up, apparently. So there you go, and because it's spread over into reality. What are these structures? Oh no, the Wicker Man. Are these the amulets of witchcraft? That's an Alfred Bester quotation for those of you in the know. Great signage. Perhaps I could store my extensive book collection there as it crowds me out of the house. It's an idea, but you know, you need your stuff with you so you can grab it for a quick referencing in a YouTube video.